What's up, everybody? It's your favorite reviewer's favorite combiner's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Magic Square full set of Stunticons on loan to me from Robert D. Kind of the first combiner we've seen of the modern era between Magic Square and New Age, I believe. We've seen that DX9, Devastator, and then obviously the Iron Factory, Bruticus, but between the two big companies competing, I think this is the first one. If it's not, I apologize. But be that as it may, we're going to take a look at these guys. We're going to show how to combine it. We're going to talk about the combiner. We'll have some final thoughts and we'll get out of here. Shouldn't be too long of a video, I hope. Let's get started. And there they all are in vehicle mode. Now, he's supposed to have his trailer, but I already transformed it. I forgot I had to film this part, so this will just have to do. But I think they work well together nonetheless, and I think the trailer would only add on to the look. So, I say it's a plus here too. Well done. Now, Motormaster comes with Menasor's gun as well. A lot of hollow sculpt work here, which is not my favorite. However, the general shape of it is kind of fine, and it's purple plastic. He'll hold that just fine with your standard kind of slot into the palm of the hand format. So, Motormaster comes with Menasor's sword. We have really nice sculpt work throughout, like including all these little circles and stuff that I'm guessing. It might be accidental, but it ends up looking cool. I'm guessing it's where they peg in and it's completely accidental, but it looks cool. And then a nice silver paint job added to the blade itself and some good sculpt work down here at the bottom. And he'll hold the sword just fine by plugging in, once again, the tab into the palm of the hand. Lastly, all three of them, or all three sets, come with some extra pieces for a different option for Menasor, which we will take a look at after we look at kind of the tune version. So let's get this transformed, and you have to start by releasing these two middle panels on each side, and they're on a double hinge, I think. Feels like it. Yeah. So just get them up and out of your way. And then you want to pull these down, and these come down, and split your legs, so to speak. All right, let's try our hand at this. So it's a little tricky to stay oriented. So this is the front of the thigh. This is the front of the shin. So just try to be cognizant of such things. We can take this piece out and around. Just get rid of that for a second. I actually think it you hear my kids fighting. Take this piece, swing this down, and this will sit kind of inside of the fence, as it were. And then you can bring down the whole foot. And these are the pieces that connect to the leg bots, so you want to rotate them towards the back and just do whatever you got to do. Same on this side. Rotate them to the back, and then this will sit relatively nicely together, and then bring this piece down and encapsulate all of it. And then you can rotate your foot, and this doesn't stay together great. Rotate your foot, so that it sits nicely in there. So let's do it again for good measure. All right, so stay oriented. We need to have the little deco there in the front. We need to have this in the front. In order to do that, we got to get this piece out to the side and down. We need to get the foot together, put the wheels behind the fence, and then make sure that our tabs that are going to hold the leg bots are facing the back. Same there. This swings to the inside to sit nicely, hidden away. Use these pieces, or this piece rather, to lock everything together. And then move your foot so that it sits appropriately in relation to the leg. All right, let's move on up. So we're gonna bring these pieces on the pelvis out to the side. These pieces, you need to have it so that the little tab here is facing the back and down, and then fold that towards the interior. So same here, and fold in. Then this piece here, you want to bring down, spin it around with the clowns from out of town. Actually, no, you don't. You just flip it down, and then flip these pieces in, and then that'll kind of form a general shape. But leave yourself some room because we do have to get these pieces out. Swing them down, then this tab here will go in to the front. You'll be able to see it in person. There, one. And two. However, what I forgot to do was rotate your hips up so that he doesn't look like he needs to go see a specialist. There. Now you're sorted. Now, once again, we need to kind of do with the upper body what we did with the lower body, which is kind of tear it apart. So we're going to flip up these pieces. We're going to flip up these pieces. And we're going to try to give ourselves some room to get his head and chest out. Now, there is a slider here. Just slide that towards the back. That controls like the flank and his arms. Then you're left with this, which is kind of relatively intuitive. You're just going to flip out the sides of his chest, and then you're going to bring this up, and then obviously you don't want him looking backward, right? Pretty easy stuff. All right, for this, you can see this already came untabbed, so that's okay. You're going to flip this down and this down, and you want to untab. Oh, the whole thing just came dude, funny. All right, so here, same thing here. Open this piece up, you know, and oh look, this came undone. So that's where it comes undone. So fold these two pieces in, and then all right, and then so flip this down, and then you can use the cheat code up, down, left, right, and just tab that all back in. So same thing here. Did we already flip it? Flip it for real. All right, and tab that back in. Let me get this all put together nicely again, and then we'll move on from here. All right, let's see what's going on. So we need to get this collapsed together, and we need to get this arm in this direction, and then this piece will come around and tab into the side of the flank there. Hopefully lock that into position, and then just sort of make it an arm. All right. I think that's it. Oh no, this piece has to come around inside. So there you go. And we're gonna do the same thing over. So we'll lift this up. We'll bring this down. This tabs back into that panel. And then we're going to open this. We're going to collapse that. We're going to swing this around with the clowns from out of town. We're going to lock it in with this front piece. And then we're going to fold this around. And then we'll collapse the arm. Give us an elbow, move the fist down, and extend it. And then we just have to connect our pieces. So these are the two side pieces. This is the chest. We bring it up, The chest has 2 slots for the tabs that correspond on the flank. And then flip these down, I think. All right. So for him, we start off the same way that we did to get him into robot mode. You got to get this section out and around. And I think you can rotate these down. There. And then we'll spin this back around. And then this collapses up. Right. And this sits on the back, is that right? I don't know. It's right. So there's 2 tabs underneath of his collarbone. You want to sit that in there and then use pressure to lock it into place. I wish something locked in kind of more so on the sides here, but it does hold it just fine. And then we're going to do our best here. I'm not going to waste too much time with it. I think you'll be able to get the point. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, no, that's not right, is it? It's just these 2. I don't know where those other ones going. I guess they just sit there. 1. All right, that's something anyway. Now we'll move on to the arms. So you got to get access. Spin this around. This is like a lock. So it comes in and it quarter turns, so that it locks it in place. You just have to separate it and then pretty much just clean up that. And this stayed pretty intact. Just flip that down. And then you got 2 tabs here on the forearm. That'll plug right in. Oh my God. So, try to keep it together. And then you have 1 vertical and 1 horizontal tab there, and corresponds to 1 there and 1 there. Is that right? No, I guess it's a different one. There. That went on much easier. So, same sitch here. You'll find that you should be able to get this out pretty quickly. Once again, quarter turn, pulls right out, so to speak. And then you're left with these 2 sections. You got these 2 and those 2. You've got these, it might even be 3, and it looks like these 3. Maybe. Hard to say. We'll see how it works. Yeah, all 3. All right, so let's go over him, so to speak. I'm not 100% happy with a lot of the connections, but we'll talk about that as we move through. All right, for the head, face sculpt looks good. The eyes are a bit close together. It's a nitpick, but it is something that kind of happens. It has a tendency to happen. Eyes are a little close together. That kind of stuff does end up bothering me. But the silver paint looks good. The red looks good. It's on a hinge at the base of the neck and then a ball peg, I think. Yes, at the top. So works pretty well. You get up to there, down to there, swivel, confused Menasor look, no issues. All that stuff works. Nice like black metallic or a dark, maybe charcoal gray metallic in here. And then the purple chest there looks good. The silver accents down there. The silver with the purple translucent plate over top there. That looks good. You get a waist swivel. You got to make sure that you're not impinged at all. Oh, dude. We'll talk about it. And you get a nab crunch, 90 degrees over. So that's nice. For the shoulders, they're on a universal, so they'll swivel around. You can get them out to the side. We do both sides for combiners. No issue. Thigh, that's not a thigh, idiot. That's a bicep. Bicep swivel with a single hinged elbow that is a bit limited. Not due to engineering, but due to the pieces that clip on. Wrist swivel. Thumb is on a ball peg here. And then you have an additional hinge at this finger. Each finger is individually articulated and pinned at the primary and secondary knuckle. No issues. Flaps look good. Those flaps you can get out a taste, pretty far to the side, and get his thighs for the full Van Damme, or his hips rather. Forward and back, we got hip skirts that move here for the full Monty, so no issues there. Thigh swivel, the purple and metallic paint work great on the thigh as well. I'll back out a little bit. And single hinge knee, that gets you 90 degrees, so that works fair enough. Nice sculpt work here at the front. And then we have the ankles, which are really well articulated. You get, oh, never mind. They're not. You get ankle rocker. I thought you'd get ankle tilt up and ankle tilt down, but you do not. So yeah, that's him. That's him from the back, except pieces have fallen out of him, which is one of my complaints with this guy. But yeah, not hateful at all. Now, like we said, there is an alternative. So we're gonna start with these two pieces, which are the thigh covers. And we're just gonna come to our thighs and pull this straight away and replace it with this one. Easy peasy. Like, that's what I like about the component, a lot of these components for switching the style, is that it's so simple. All right. So that does the thighs. Then you have the feet. And they obviously, you just gotta look for the male, female ones here. And they connect like this. And you just take your Menasor, you swivel at the knee, then you have that facing forward, and obviously then you have the toes there at the front, and you just clip these onto there, and now you fixed it. You should do that times deux. Then you have this pelvis piece. We have the purple and red deco there with the charcoal silver at the top, and obviously the hip flaps move just the same. Once again, you just want to get a hold of this. It's a little trickier, just tolerance wise. Get that out of the way. It's just a giant pig, so to speak, and swap those pieces. Then you have this alternate chest with the kind of car imprint, you know, very G1 toy, and a peg there, a couple tabs, same kind of deal. Now this one does have an actual screw piece that needs to be swapped out, but we'll do it. And you also have an alternate head. And as you can see, it comes together with 3 pegs and the face. So you just slide in that T-joint there, and then this pegs together on top of the other one. And we'll swap that out now too. And just throw this puppy on up here. Boom. This arm here, we're gonna untab it. Remember it came untabbed during the transformation? Murphy's Law. When you want it off, so to speak, you can't get it. We're gonna do the same thing for this side. And then we're gonna take the fist off of both. Actually, you could take the cars off as well. Take dead end and get yourself some space so that you can get this connection piece around and then up, and then you can kind of clean it up. And you can connect them too by inserting the T-joint and then doing a quarter turn. Once again, with drag strip, we got to get access to this lock and key joint and flip it up and over, and of course insert the lower body and 90-degree or quarter turn, and then kind of clean it up. And then you can take these and open them up, collapse it flat, and insert your fist into them. We're gonna do that to both sides, both of these gray pieces. Then just take your 2 tabs there, they align there, and insert those on. Same thing on a drag strip. just plugged in. They're two different bars, but they plug in the same way. To plug dead end in, you're looking at that vertical slot there, horizontal, horizontal. For drag strip, you got this little tab and then these two, and then you got a number of corresponding slots over here. Let's see if we can't. It's not the easiest thing to do because of that hinge. But where there's a will, there's a way. There it is. And there he kind of is. I'll say like these joints here at the elbow, they work fine with nothing in them. But like the moment that you put like his gun in there, it's just not going to hold up super well. Also, the cars have a tendency to kind of pop off of here as you're manipulating it, so not the best thing in the world. I probably shouldn't have done that until I showed you the articulation. So, let's see. Shoulder-wise works the same, right? Because we're working off the base thing here. You do get an elbow that gets you a little fairly shy of 90 degrees, and then you get a bicep swivel, and that'll give you more of the elbow so you can kind of get it off at an angle, so to speak, and then the hands stay the same. Cool idea and concept. Follow through doesn't work extremely well. Now, there is another look that he can pull off. I'm going to combine the cars back together, and I'm going to make a couple transformations. I'm going to put these things back on because we've seen how this all works now, and then we'll kind of reconvene. So you put these connections here. There's 2 tabs and 2 slots. You're just trying to beef out the forearms. You do the same thing on this side. So there's flaps here on the shoulder. And then both of the cars, I've got drag strips in already. Both of the cars attach here and then kind of close down. And this to me is the worst available option. I'm sure it's referencing some cartoon element, but it just doesn't, it's just the most aesthetically kind of off-putting to me. So look, there's a lot of options here articulation wise. That's not even plugged in anymore. This still gets you up to 90 degrees. I'm going to show you what my favorite configuration is regarding this, and then we'll kind of do some size comparisons and final thoughts, and I'll show you the one last thing that these can do. And you have these shoulder pauldrons, which you can kind of, pauldrons, right? You can flip this piece out, flip this piece forward to kind of make it a box. You got silver paint details on there, and you're going with that tab into the back to get it stuck on, and it's not an easy connection to make. I'll make it, and then we'll clean them up and take a look at them. So there it is with the hoods up, the G1 toy pelvis and thighs, the cartoon face. I actually wanted to have this helmet with that face, but they're not interchangeable, it seems. And those shoulder pauldrons, etc. The shoulder pauldrons don't stick in very well. I can't get them to stick in at all, actually. But yeah, to me, that's a pretty cool look, and I'm happy with it. There's just a ton of options here. You can keep doing it. As you can see, I've got the cars facing rested up. They were, you know, the other way. It's just like you can keep doing different combinations until you get something that you're happy with. It's an interesting set in that regard. Let's do some size comparisons. There it is with Iron Factory Tarn and our usual suspects, old school Iron Factory Blaster and the Hasbro Stunticon. So, you know, just about the size he should be, I think, in all honesty. Pretty well scaled combiner. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. The negatives, once again, it comes down to Magic Square and their materials. Obviously, this is going through the growing pains, but probably a poor choice to get unfamiliar with stuff when you're trying to make 5 things stick together. And the problem is that it's not just 5 things, right? It's 5 things, plus the skeleton, plus the extra accessories, plus the filler pieces, all the parts forming pieces, so it's a lot of things. Magic Square can sometimes have issues when it's just one thing that has to stick together, let alone the 3+ tabs that it takes for every piece. That's shoulder, forearm, pelvis, thigh, chest, head, pauldrons, like it's so much stuff, and it's just not their forte. My other issue with this is just how much they did with it. Now, it's going to be in my positives also, because don't get me wrong, I recognize that it's cool, all the options that they give you with this set. However, the jack of all trades should beware the master of one, and that applies here. I think if they would have just tried to do one thing well, they would have knocked it out of the park. But instead, they tried to do a ton of things well, ended up doing a couple things fairly well, and a couple things mediocre at best. Whereas if they would have focused their efforts in one particular arena, they could have really nailed it. I know this sounds like I'm banging it up a good bit, and I'm not. Or maybe I am. But I got a lot of good to say about it as well. I'm just not quite there yet. Another example of the beware the master of one situation is like the bicep, or the elbow rather, on dead end when he has to be the whole arm. He doesn't have the weight or the tension to support the weight of the gun in his hand. Stuff like that. If they would have just focused on one thing, they probably wouldn't have had those sort of issues. Positives wise, the sculpt is great. It's actually, once you get it all super put together and you don't touch it or look at it, it'll stay. But what's surprising most of all is even without the heel pieces on, if you're using them for heels instead of toes, it's incredibly well balanced. One of the better balanced combiners that we've ever seen. Now, obviously it is smaller, so it doesn't have as much weight to balance, but it's still pretty impressive and has to be recognized as such. The sculpt is great. There's enough paint accents on all of it to make it look interesting. The fact that there are tons of options gives you as a customer a lot of variety of different poses, looks, aesthetics, etc. to satisfy your particular preference when it comes to the image of a character that you're familiar with, but you're familiar with it the way that you're familiar with it, not necessarily the way that I'm familiar with it, but we both can be happy. And that's cool, even though it provides some frustrating elements. I think making fans happy was a big part of making this set, and I recognize them for that. And I can say that if you're into Legends and you want a representation of Menasor, this is a pretty good one. What will the New Age one be like? I'll let you know when we get there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.